Triangle MNO is transformed to produce triangle PQR. Select all of the transformations that would guarantee triangles MNO and PQR are congruent. So at first when we read this question, the automatic thing that comes to a lot of people's heads is, how am I supposed to answer this? There's no picture. We don't have a graph. I don't know what triangle MNO and triangle PQR, I don't know what they look like. But that's okay. You don't need a graph or you don't need a picture to answer this question. All you need is a good understanding of what the word congruent means. So congruent means the same size and the same shape. So as long as we understand what congruent means and we understand what rigid motions are, we can answer this question. So rigid motions are transformations that result in congruent figures, which means figures that are the same size. So if I want to have triangle MNO and triangle PQR be congruent, then I need to select all of the choices that include only rigid motions. So only transformations that do not change the size of the triangle. So our first option here is a dilation, then a translation. Right away, we know that this isn't going to result in congruent figures because a dilation changes the size of a triangle. It makes it either bigger or smaller. So this choice is out. It is not correct. All right, let's look at the second one. It says a reflection first. So a reflection does give congruent figures. So far we're okay. Then a dilation. As soon as we see the word dilation, we know these figures aren't going to be congruent because dilation is changing the size. So that one's out. The next one, a reflection, then a rotation. So we're going to look at it piece by piece. A reflection is a rigid motion. It gives us congruent figures. So that's good. I'm going to put a check by that. Then a rotation. A rotation, we are not changing the size. We're just changing how a figure is oriented. So that's good. This is a correct answer. If we reflect, then rotate, we'll get congruent figures. The next one, a rotation, then a translation. Well, we already talked about what a rotation is. A rotation is a rigid motion. It does not change the size, so that's good. Then a translation. Remember, when we translate something, we're just moving it or sliding it. So that is also a rigid motion, and this would be a correct answer. Rotating and then translating would give you congruent figures. The last one, a translation, then a reflection, this is another correct answer because we're not changing the size. So essentially here, all of the correct answers are all of the choices that did not include dilation. Dilation is the only transformation we've talked about that is not a rigid motion, meaning a dilation is the only transformation that changes the size of a figure and does not result in congruent figures.